Hey, everybody, it's your old pal Eric Zane for one of my new favorite sponsors, ExpressVPN. Look, going online without ExpressVPN, listen to this illustration. It's like leaving your laptop unattended at the coffee shop when you run to the bathroom. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I might actually do that. Anyway, most of the time you're probably fine, but what if one day you come out of the bathroom and the laptop is gone? You're like, oh, no. Anyway, the question might be easy. What is ExpressVPN all about? Look, every time you connect to an unencrypted network, cafes, hotels, airports, etc., your online data is not secure. Any hacker on the same network can gain access and steal your personal data, passwords, bank logins, you name it. And it doesn't take much technical knowledge to hack someone. Don't believe me? Look it up. Just some cheap hardware is needed. A smart 12-year-old could do it. My God. Your data is valuable. Hackers can make up to $1,000 a person selling personal info on the dark web. ExpressVPN stops hackers from stealing your data by creating a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. Tunnels are good. Now, it's true. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. And I didn't just pull that out of my you-know-what. Easy to use. Fire up the app and click one button to get protected. Every time I take my show on the road, I depend on ExpressVPN. I don't want my stuff exposed to some scumbag. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/Zane. That's expressvpn.com/Zane. And you get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/Zane. Hey, what's going on, friends? My podcast every day is broken up into 2 parts on the free platform. The first part, Act 1, is right now. When it's all done, go right on over to Act 2 to get the second half of the podcast. Thank you so much for checking out my show. Hello, hello. Oh, yeah. Welcome in. Hello, my friends. Welcome into the Eric Zane Show podcast, a daily show where I discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures. If you are watching the show, you may notice the unmistakable appearance of duct tape on the microphone stand. You are correct. When I was up at Fear Bunker North, there were certain things that were up there that had to make it home. One of them is the appropriate microphone stand for this microphone. Right now, that microphone stand is still at Fear Bunker North. So I had to bust out my MacGyver skills and craft my own mic stand. Literally taped the microphone to the damn microphone stand. That's okay. That's okay. Chris writes, quote, 75 miles into the trip, son of a bitch. No, it wasn't until I got home yesterday evening and I started taking out the various bits of equipment. I'm like, oh, God damn it. Shit. It'll be easier for me to just order one from Amazon. But I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave this on. Adds to the charm of this low-rent show. Welcome. If I can't, being up north for a week, more than actually, well, Sunday to Sunday, doing the show every day, the only thing that kept me going in that affair was the idea that it was temporary. Getting up earlier than I like to. Having to drive to a radio station, which just blows having to do that. I enjoyed doing the show. I enjoyed hanging out with the people that work at that radio station, Q100. Love them so much. But then got to race home, take care of the dogs. And then I think the biggest thing that screwed me up the most was the poverty internet. That's what put a damper on things. The poverty internet. And I basically cobbled together various bits of equipment to be able to make that show be completed. I was able to do it. It was a slog. Everything was difficult. I mean, here at the house, I've got a much faster setup, so it's like you take for granted the clickability when you click on something and it responds in an instant. As opposed, it was like having dial-up internet when you were first trying to download porn in 1996. God dang. So if I really don't even like to look forward to the day when I have to do that again. It was it was very difficult. But I like doing that better than I like doing best of shows. And if I have the opportunity to do that type of show as opposed to a best of show, I will. Kenny says clickability. Nice new word you invented there. I like it. You're darn right. Okay, so for this canoe marathon, I do have some a video that I'd like to share with you that is kind of fun. Give you an idea of exactly what we're dealing with here. So I shot video from the very start of the race, which they have like 100 different canoe teams of two. And they are like a quarter mile away from the start. And everybody has their canoe and the gun goes off and then they have to run to the water. Le Mans style start. For some of you, I've shown this video before, but this is video from the actual event that we were at. That I shot. So this is my video from that event. And then I rushed over to the... After the gun goes off, I let... These maniacs are running down the street. And then I stopped the video and had to run as fast as I could to get to the actual start with them getting in the water. I'll show that in a second.
I mean, it's up to you. If you want to stand in a line of fire.
There they are in the distance. Here they come. Okay, so there they are. I press stop. I get out of the, and then I go right to where they're getting in the water, and this is how that looks when all these teams are getting in the water. Look at this. All right, it goes on for a little bit, but that's a 120-mile canoe trip. My God. And they start at 9 p.m. that night, and then they paddle all through the night, and the winning time was about 14 and a half hours. So you got to figure around lunchtime that team crosses the finish line. So that is so cool. Really enjoyed that. We were at an area right along the river, and there's some pals of the radio station that showed up. People that I didn't even think I had forgotten about were pals of the radio station. But the first story is, let me give you a little bit of background. For those of you that are Detroit Red Wings fans, you don't even need to be a Red Wing fan to understand this story, how important this story is, or the person that I'm about to speak about in this story is to this story. When the Red Wings, in order to get them to the Stanley Cup, the Red Wings figured out they wanted to go the direction of getting Russian players. And at the time, the Iron Curtain was still there. You know, you couldn't like draft a Russian hockey player and then call him up and say, "Hey, welcome to the Red Wings." It just doesn't. It was impossible to reach those people because you just can't just call them up because of communist Russia. So the Red Wings, despite knowing that they might be wasting a draft pick or two, they drafted 2 players, Vladimir Konstantinov and Sergei Fedorov, who went on to become, 2 of arguably the most important pieces to their team to win a Stanley Cup. Now, it just so happens that 1 week after we won the first Stanley Cup in '97, a horrible limousine wreck almost killed Vladimir Konstantinov, and he's severely brain damaged. Never played hockey again. But it isn't about that right now. Red Wings in the 80s are trying to figure out how they get their hands on this Fedorov and Konstantinov. It might have been early 90s. I forget the year. But they went ahead and drafted these guys knowing they might not ever see them in Red Wings uniforms. There was a tournament, an international tournament in Helsinki, Finland. The Russians were going to be there. And the Red Wings came up with a plan to try to get a message to the 2 Russians to let them know the Red Wings want them, and there's a truck of money for them if they agree to defect. But again, you can't just walk up to them. There's KGB everywhere. They need some type of ruse. Well, it just so happens there's a writer for the Detroit Free Press by the name of Keith Gave. And when Gave was in the military, he knew Russian, and he was a linguist, a Russian linguist. And so he's a sports writer. He covers hockey for the Free Press. He's going to go to Helsinki, Finland to cover the fucking international games. So the Red Wings said, hey, you speak Russian? Yeah? Okay, here's what we're going to do. And they give him a couple of handwritten notes. And they put it into a book or some shit to give to the players. So Gabe goes and speaks to Konstantinov and Fedorov. Hey, so what do you think of the tournament? How's the competition? How's the Russian national team doing? Oh, okay, great. Okay, yeah, and he's talking to him in Russian. Then he goes, all right, yeah, by the way, this is a great book. You should read this book. He gives him a book. Gabe gives Fedorov and Konstantinov a book. Well, in it is the note from the Red Wings. And sure enough, they get the goddamn message. And Gabe is like, all the while, there's KGB all over the place and fucking he's free. It's like double agent shit. There's a, Gabe wrote a book called The Russian Five, which became a film. And it's an awesome film. I talked to the makers of the film some time ago on this very show, but I'm going somewhere with this because I'm at the canoe marathon and standing next to JC, I go, motherfucker, that's Keith Gave. I go, hey, now I don't fanboy on anybody. The only people I fanboy on are radio, TV, and writers from Detroit. Those are the ones that I fanboy on. I go, hey, are you Keith Gave? And he goes, yes, I am. I go, Jesus Christ. Eric Zane. He goes, oh, yeah. And so we started shooting the shit with fucking this guy was so instrumental in getting those 2 guys to the goddamn Red Wings. And I was like blown. And he was so funny. Nicest guy in the world. Holy shit. He lives up there and he's pals with JC. So I'm like, fuck me. This is so cool. I get to hang out with you two. So, that goes on. In fact, this is the trailer to the Russian 5 film. It might interest some of you if you haven't yet seen the movie.
When you haven't won a Stanley Cup for 40 years, I don't care how much talent you may or may not have, you're an underdog.
Jeff Daniels, he's, of course, a huge Red Wing fan from Michigan.
The team I took over in 1982 was in the Detroit River, quite frankly.
I don't mean to be rude or anything, but you don't have any kind of a hockey club.
I knew that there were good players in Russia. The problem was there was an Iron Curtain.
There's no book, you couldn't go anywhere and say, okay, how do you get a guy to defect? I knew one guy that spoke Russian.
That's Keith Gave right there.
I get to Helsinki, I notice a guy, I'm convinced he was their KGB guy.
Literally, we're making it up as we went along. I said, Sergey, this money's yours if you leave now.
It was interesting for me. It was like a little bit exciting.
My home phone rings, and it's some guy from the State Department. Do you know the whereabouts of Sergei Fedorov? To which I basically said, yes.
Very quickly, you're like, hey, this guy's pretty good,
One of the most talented players I ever saw in my life.
Scotty Bowman knew one thing, that the Russian game is played in 5-man units.
First time in NHL history, 5 Russian guys playing in the same unit.
That's it, let's go.
They played a different style.
It was keep away. I mean, literally, they would play keep away.
No way. What is this, hockey night in Canada or hockey night in Russia?
Hasta la vista, baby.
People questioned Scotty Bowman. They questioned if we could get it done.
They're coming over. They're going to have to play the Canadian way. They're going to have to toughen up.
It's way beyond hockey.
American, Canadian, Swedish, Russian. They're all Red Wings!
None of this matters unless we win.
The Wings and the Flyers in a Stanley Cup showdown.
And boy, did they. So I was blown away by that. And then, so I walk away. And then I come back. And who is there? Fucking George Blaha. Now, some of you are like, who? What? George Blaha? Who? What is that? Okay. Again, Detroit legendary media. George Blaha has been the PA, or the radio and TV play-by-play guy for the Detroit Pistons since like 1975. He's also the Michigan State radio voice of the Michigan State Spartans. And I was like, holy shit. My God, I've been watching George Blaha for as long as I can remember. My fat face interviewed Mr. Blaha. Let's take my mic cut out for the beginning of this, so bear with me. I'm jumping ahead. To where they
Teenager when I moved here, and our family would come down.
Blaha's from Grayling. By the way, I couldn't look more round in this picture. I look like a thumb.
Down to the banks of the Asable and watch this, and we were excited about it then, but it was more of a Grayling thing then. And now it's become more of a Northern Michigan thing, then more of a state of Michigan thing, and then more of a Midwestern thing, and now it's almost a national, international race. So this thing has gone big time, but I'm happy that it has, because it's a great test for a lot of people's desire, toughness, and all that.
So you're still happy with it? You're just people getting together, having a good time.
Exactly. I mean, what else would you want to do on this last Saturday in July in Grayling?
Weather's been perfect. We're blessed with that, and we're blessed to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, George Blaha, thank you.
Great to be on Q100.
Thank you, buddy.
There you go. Oh, God, look at that face. Look at that, how round I am. That is, if that's not rock bottom, I don't know what is. That, oh my God, that chin. That is John Gibbs neck roll. Oh, no. Look at that. Oh, fuck. Fuck, George Blaha looks like he's in better shape than I am. Oh, my God. Yeah, that is, I got to do something fast. Jesus. Yeah, we're getting a lot of hilarious comments from audience members about my fat fucking face. But the point of all that was, it was to be by George Blaha. I mean, this guy is a living legend. He is in the category of like, Ernie Harwell, Vin Scully. Legendary name. He's getting on in years, but he's still got a lot of gas in the tank. I just love to talk to him. Corey has a great suggestion. Make that pick your Facebook profile. If I do that, it'll keep me motivated. If I ever get the idea that, oh yeah, you're looking good. No, I'm not. Kenny says, I love being twice Eric's size and hearing him call himself fat. I don't know, man. You take it. I'm just talking about me. I tell you what, though, seeing those guys who do the canoe races, some of them are old dudes, and they are ripped. I mean, like you wouldn't believe it. If you ever think that, oh boy, I'm too old to be in shape, bullshit, man. These guys are. I saw guys in their 70s with unbelievable jawlines and just looking like they could go 10 rounds with the champ. Lean, mean, strong ladies and men. The chicks, you got some old women, and they're like remarkably strong. They have the grill of an old chick or an old dude, but they just their bodies look strong and fit and energetic, and I'm like, hey, I want a piece of that action. That is a lot of hard work. So anyway, I'll get to more as to how the canoe race works in a second, but I wanted to bring in, speaking of legends, when you want to hear about riveting topics like turn signals and why headlights go off when turn signals go on, you got to look no further than the legendary Rick from TC Paintball. We're going to bring his ass in here for the first time in a while.
Good morning, Eric.
Mr. Rick, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Looks like you haven't missed a meal.
Oh, you are not kidding. Round. Completely round, without a doubt.
That's a like a living thing. It fluctuates, right? You get a little round, then you get motivated to get rid of it, and then you get rid of it. You think you look good, you can get complacent, then you get round again. It's a vicious cycle.
I think it's been probably 95% of the bad stuff and 5% motivated.
Okay.
Chris has a question.
Okay.
He wants to know if you're still chasing people into Home Depot because they didn't turn fast enough on a blinking red.
Well, if Chris is asking if I have a story, I do have a story. It's not a road rage story, but it is a on the road story. So I'm willing to share that. I think it's a pretty good story. My question, I guess, is do you want all the little stories, or do you just want me to keep it concise?
You do you. Whatever's comfortable.
All right, you ready? Let's go. Here we go. You ready?
I am.
Okay, 2 weeks ago, we go to the biggest event that we go to. It's not a tournament. It's like a big game, we call it. 4,500 people show up at this little town in eastern Pennsylvania, and they reenact a World War II battle, right? It's called Ion, or Invasion of Normandy. So we go there every year. We bring like $100,000 worth of inventory in a big trailer, and we sell all weekend, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so on the way there, we get there. We drive 12 hours to get there on Wednesday. We get out of the trailer. We start putting up our 10 by 10 canopies, our tents, and our 10 by 20 canopies. And those things are really light. They're lightweight. So if the wind gets underneath them and you don't have them strapped down appropriately, the wind plays hell with them.
Okay.
And that's what happens. So we're in the mountains, in the Poconos, near the NASCAR race there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just around really. So we're there. We get out of the truck. We start setting up. We put up 3 of our tents, and we have like 6-7 tents to put up. We put up 3 of them, and a wind comes along and starts blowing our tents all over the place before we get a chance to strap them down. So it starts flipping tents over, damaging, snapping legs off, doing shit like that. I remember looking up and seeing my TC Paintball logo going up away from me, and I kind of panicked. I reach up and I grab it, and I hear one of my guys next to me going, "You better let go, you better let go." So I let it go, and I fall to the ground and tumble, and the canopy goes flying, bashes into another vendor's tent, snaps legs off, damages all 3 tents, and we're standing there going, "What the hell do we do now? Did our event just go away?" You know, we voted to put up tents. So we're like, okay, look at the weather. We're going to get another storm that night. So I'm like, okay, we're not putting these tents up. We're throwing them in a pile. We're going to go to Lowe's and get some parts to fix these tents, right? So we're not feeling very good about our event so far. We're like, okay, this is how it's going to start. We gotta buy some conduit to zip tie our tents back together. This is going to be shitty. So we go to Lowe's, we buy some shit, we go have a nice Mexican restaurant dinner, and then we go to the same hotel that I've stayed at for like 15 years in a row. Every year I make reservations for the same hotel. Well, I'm a little bit flustered right now because we just got done with our tents being blown around on us and getting knocked to the ground by them. So I'm a little bit flustered, and I don't remember that I made reservations at a different hotel because the NASCAR race is in town and I couldn't get reservations here. Okay. So I walk into this hotel like I have for 15 years in a row. I'm like, hey, I got reservations, throw my ID down. And the lady says, you don't have reservations tonight. And I'm like, listen, you must have made a mistake. I stay here every day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't screw this up. You must have screwed it up. So she's like, well, I do have 2 rooms for the night. I can get you into those 2 rooms, but I don't have anything for the rest of the weekend. I'm like, you know, we're tired, we're stressed. I'm like, listen, we'll take it. I'll figure out the details. I can't find it in my email box right here, standing here. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to the room. I'm gonna kick my shoes off, and I'm gonna sit back, relax a little bit, and I'm gonna figure out who screwed this reservation up. So I do that. I go to my room, and I can't find the reservation. I'm like, you know, in February, I made all these reservations. And I'm like, did I screw this up? Did I forget to do this one? Maybe I did. But now we're in the middle of like the biggest game that we do with already having issues. I need a place to stay. So I book an Airbnb out of panic. I spend like $800 on the Airbnb, and then I hang the phone up. That's all set. Okay, then we got a place to stay. So then I start thinking to myself, how did you screw this up? So I start going through my emails again, and then I find it. I find the reservation at a different hotel. Okay, what do we do? It says not.
Hey, it's your old pal Eric Zane for my new favorite sponsor, Mint Mobile. MintMobile.com. MintMobile.com. What's up? How does this work? Well, you keep your phone, you keep your number, and you get everything on your phone that you're used to, except you pay incredibly less for it. It's that simple. Pick a plan, any plan, and off you go. You can even get a new phone if you like with the service. That's totally up to you. This is one of the most versatile, easy things in the world when it comes to cell phones. How often are you looking at your cell phone bill with whoever and you're like, my God, this has gotten out of hand. This is like a living, breathing entity that I don't want any part of. It's time to make the switch to Mint Mobile. More Americans are doing this than ever before. In fact, U.S. News and World Reports called them the best cell phone plans around. Wired recommends them. The New York Times Wirecutter did a best cell phone plans article on them. Incredible. So many people are talking about Mint Mobile. I want you to check this out for yourself. Go to mintmobile.com and see what I'm talking about. You're going to see that it's basically the same damn thing that I talked about. Keep your phone, keep your number. You're just going to pick a plan, boom, pay for it, and you're in business. All the details are at mintmobile.com. But I'm telling you, I just made the switch, and I'm saving hundreds of dollars on my cell phone bill. Check it out online, mintmobile.com.
Refundable right on the reservation. Son of a bitch. So I got to cancel the Airbnb. So I cancel. I call the hotel and I say, hey, we're not going to make it tonight. We had some trouble. We're going to be there tomorrow night. Hey, no problem. And I'm talking to the booking agent, right? Through booking.com or hotel, whoever it was. Yeah. Like, hey, let me call the hotel to let them know that you're not going to be there. Hey, great. I'm on the phone with them for 15, 20 minutes. They keep coming back to me going, hey, this is what we're telling them. What time are you going to be there tomorrow? Tell them we'll be there between 8 and 10 p.m. Okay, great. Okay, great. Hey, you're all set. They'll be waiting there for you. Hey, thank you very much for the help. See you later. Off we go. Crash that night. Get up the next morning. We're at the field we're on the way to the field at 5:30 a.m. We stop at Wawa for our breakfast. I had issues in my trailer on the way there. My trailer brakes kept going out. So I'm underneath my truck trying to figure out if there's a loose wire or something. This asshole next to me is less than an inch from me as he's backing his car out. Almost runs my ass over in the Wawa parking lot. There's people yelling. car. They're pumping their gas going, hey, you're going to hit him. Hey, you're going to hit him. And I'm like, I don't even know what's happening yet until he pulls away, and I feel the tire brush against me. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Did I just almost get...
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the hell else is going to happen this trip, right? So we get to the field. We're at the field working at 5:45 a.m. We spend 2 hours fixing tents. Oh, we're great. Build our booth. Have a good day on Thursday. Everything's great. Hey, we're done for the day. Let's go to our hotel. Go to the hotel that I actually booked. Okay.
Okay.
Walk in the door, and the guy's walking out. It's just before 10 p.m. Dude's walking out, walking up to me. He's like, hey, do you got reservations? I said, yeah. He goes, oh, you must be Langworthy. And I'm like, nope, it's Steinebach. Oh, well, the only people that haven't checked in is Langworthy. And he starts looking at the computer screen. He's like, yeah, you guys were supposed to be here last night. And I was like, yeah, I called and told you I was going to be here tonight. It was non-refundable, so we should be all set. Oh, well, you didn't call us, though. I said, okay, but I called the 800 number on the reservation. Well, you called Priceline.
Oh, boy.
So I called the 800 number that was on the reservation that I booked. So I don't know what else you wanted me to do as a consumer. They said that they called you. Nobody called us. Nobody called us. I'm like, okay. So do you have a room or not? Yeah, we have 2 rooms, but it's not the same rooms you booked. Okay, what is it? Well, it's a king suite and another one with a king bed in it. I said, okay, we'll take them. We'll figure it out for the night. We'll take them. Okay, that'll be, $650 a night. I'm like, well, that's a little inflated, but I already paid $3,000 for these rooms months ago.
Jesus.
And he's like, yeah, but you didn't pay us. I said, but I paid for the booking at your hotel. So this guy, he gets flustered, and believe me, I'm with 3 guys that have traveled with me a ton, have been in a lot of frustrating situations with me, and I can lose my cool. I admit that. All 3 of my guys have said, you didn't even raise your voice. You didn't even say anything derogatory.
All right.
And this guy had some personality features that would have indicated that I could have given him a hard time.
Okay, he's giving you a little sass.
I told him he was childish, and that's all I said. I didn't say anything derogatory to him, but I wanted to. I was thinking it, but I didn't say it. I wanted to keep it above board. And then finally he just throws his hands in the air. I don't say shit, and he goes, I'm done with this a-hole.
Oh!
And I'm recording this guy because I'm like, this is kind of escalating. I wonder where this is going to end, right? Am I going to need proof? So I'm recording this guy. Throws his hands up. I'm done with this a-hole. He walks away. The general manager walks up. How can I help you? I said, well, we had a reservation for last night, tonight, and through Saturday night, and we weren't able to make it last night. I called. Somebody told me they were calling you. Who called? Who'd you call? I'm like, I called the 800 number on the reservation. Okay, well, you didn't call us. I'm like, okay, but they said that they did, and regardless, I have a non-refundable reservation, and I prepaid for this for $3,000 for 2 rooms. Why can't I use that money towards these rooms? She's like, I'm not renting to you. You got to leave.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, are you kidding me? And then what do you do at that point? I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm like,
no.
Okay. So I turn around and walk out, and my guys are going, that was unbelievable. So now we're working on our 3rd place to stay on this trip. I canceled that Airbnb, so I lost the first night and the Airbnb. That was $200 more out the window. We drive down the road to this Roach Motel, pull in, walk into the office. It stinks. And I'm like, hey, you got 2 rooms? He's like, yeah. I go, how much? He goes, $70 a night. I'm like, perfect. Do you have it for the weekend? And he laughs at me. He goes, no, the race is in town. Okay. So we're good for the night. Yeah, we're good for the night. I mean, my guys didn't even want to shower at this
they're
hotel.
tired. They're tired.
It was bad.
Oh, and it was dirty.
I showered. I got out of the shower and walked to the bed, and I felt weird about putting my bare feet on the floor. I mean, it was bad, right? So then this is Thursday night. So Friday is the busiest day at the biggest event. We're going to be slam busy for 15, 16 hours. And I'm like, and I have no service. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to figure out the hotel situation. So I text my wife. I'm like, hey, will you figure out an Airbnb for us within 30 minutes of the field somewhere and just set it up? I'm not going to have time to do it.
Yeah.
So she does. She takes it over. The Airbnb was great. So we're looking at each other going, man, what else could go wrong? Okay. So we get through our weekend. Sunday afternoon, we jump in the truck. Our truck is loaded back up. We had a really good weekend. 4 of us jump in the truck, and now we're headed west on I-80, heading back home.
Okay.
A lot of shit happened, and we just want to get home, right? We're tired. We worked all that day. We were at the booth that morning at 7 a.m., got in the truck at 5 p.m. after we tore down a 40 by 30 booth and all the inventory, throw it in the trailer, and now we're headed west. We've got a 12-hour drive to get home. We're about 50 miles from Ohio. We're still in western Pennsylvania. And my guys in the back seat are going, what is that noise? And I'm like, what noise? And every time we get next to like the concrete median on the highway, you can hear a noise echoing back at us going, whoa, 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 whoa. And I'm like, okay, I didn't feel a tire go. That kind of sounds like a wheel bearing, but what the hell is it? So we pull over into this little town called Knox, Pennsylvania. It is nothing. It's 10 o'clock Sunday night. Nothing is open. We pull into some landscaping business that is not open. The neighboring business is not open. The other neighboring business is not open. And the campground across the street, there's nobody there. So we're looking around going, okay, what the hell are we going to do? We get out. I start looking at my tires. I look at the driver's side tires. I don't see anything obvious. And I walk around to the driver's side. I look at the driver's side tires, and my right rear tire is missing about 6 inches of tread. It's gone.
Oh, okay.
Gone. I'm like, okay. I bring tires and a jack and a breaker bar with a socket on it. I can handle this. So then just what I'm starting to think my way through it, one of my guys on the other side of the trailer goes, we got a fucking problem over here. Oh. And I'm like, oh, no, what is it? And I walk back over there, and he's got his light shining on the center of the wheel where the lug nuts are. All the lug nut holes in the wheel are oval-shaped in the size of an egg. I had lug nuts come loose, and it wore on those lug nut holes on the wheel for miles and miles and miles when we didn't notice it. Open them holes up, and it is red hot, and it is fucked. And I'm going, oh, wow. Shit. What am I going to do about this? So I'm okay. What can we do? We can change the right rear tire. I don't know what we're going to do in the left, but let's get it changed. I grabbed my breaker bar. I brought the wrong socket with me. I brought the socket for my truck. I brought the socket for my Bobcat. I didn't bring the socket for the trailer. So there I'm standing there with a breaker bar. I got a jack. I got 2 tires and wheels. I can't do anything with it.
Oh, my God.
10 o'clock Sunday night, and all we want to do is get home. And I'm like, well, we're fucked for the night. We are absolutely fucked. So I'm like, okay, what do we do? Start calling some 24-hour trailer repair places, right? So maybe someone can come here and fix it on the side of the road, as unlikely as that seems, right? So I start calling them, and I'm talking to one guy on the phone. He's $200 an hour. He's talking me out of it because he doesn't think he's going to have parts for it. Yeah. He's like, I might go over there and spend a couple hours and not get you anywhere. And I'm like, well, what do you recommend? He goes, why don't you have it towed? I'm like, that's a good idea. So I start calling 24-hour tow services. So I'm working on getting a quote to take me from Pennsylvania to Grand Rapids, Michigan, just to get the trailer home, and then we'll deal with whatever once we get here, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So I get one quote for $3,000, and I'm like, yeah, right. I ain't spending $3,000 to tow my fucking trailer home, right? So then I get another quote for $4,400, and I'm like, well, $3,000 don't sound too bad now. And then the $4,400 quote will turn into $4,000 if I just wait till morning. I'm like, motherfucker, I ain't ever getting home, right? What do we do, right? What do we do? So I'm like, well, maybe we'll wait till morning. I have one of my guys look around for a U-Haul place. There's one a few miles away. They open at 9 a.m. If we wait 11 hours and then we can load everything in the U-Haul and then maybe drag my trailer home empty. I don't know. What do we do? So I'm trying to figure this out, right?
Yeah.
One guy that his real job, he's a plumber, and he's got to be home at 9 a.m. for he's got to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to get you home. So I'm standing there, and I'm on the phone. I'm getting this quote in a white. Now, mind you, Knox, Pennsylvania is not a metropolis. It is a nothing town. And probably in an hour of standing around, 3 cars have gone by. One car is a white Chevy pickup truck with 2 good old boys in it, right? They drive by, and then they turn around, they pull into the parking lot. I'm standing on the other side of my truck right now. I'm standing there trying to get this quote from this lady on the phone, and the pickup truck pulls up to 2 of my guys.
Oh, they're going to fuck you in the butt.
I didn't know what to think. We just came from a big event. I got a bunch of cash on me and shit. I didn't know what to think was going to happen. So I'm putting my backpack in my truck, locking the door, stuffing it under the seat, just trying to be as secure as possible. I got no weapons with me, so I'm screwed. If they want to rob me, we're screwed. So the guys go, you guys having some trouble? And we're like, yeah, we are. He's like, well, you want us to look at it? Absolutely. That'd be great, right? So they walk around and they look at the wheel and they're like, fuck, that's pretty bad. We're like, yeah. He's like, huh. You know what he says?
What?
He goes, I might have lugs in my truck. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I might have these same lugs in my truck. Let's get that wheel off there. All right. So we get my jack out. We jack it up. Every lug was loose. Like the lug nut on the lug stud was turning in the hub. Like we couldn't get the lug nuts off.
Right.
But that's okay because the holes in the wheel were so fucking big that it just lifted over the lug nut.
Yes.
We pulled it off without pulling a nut off. So there it is laying there. And the dude turns around and he looks at me and he goes, I just sold a trailer to my buddy. Oh, no, that didn't happen yet. Sorry. He goes to his truck, comes back with fucking brand new lugs in his hand, bro. He had lugs with him.
Wow.
And he compares it to the size I have on my trailer. Wrong size. Sad drop bone. Wah, wah. Oh, man, we thought we were saved. Oh, thanks for checking, bro. That's awesome that you actually had the lugs on you. Then he turns to me and says, I just sold a trailer to my buddy. I think it's got the same size hub on it. I'm like, okay. He goes, I'm going to go get it. And I'm like, what? He goes, I sold it to my buddy because my buddy's going to use it as a porch. It doesn't need to be mobile.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, good old boys, right? Okay.
He's going to use it as a porch?
As a porch, yes, as a porch, right? So he takes it up. He calls his buddy up. He said, hey, you know that trailer I just sold you? Yeah. Well, I got a couple guys stranded on I-80 right now, and they're trying to get back to Michigan. I'm going to come get that hub from you. Is that all right? Okay, cool. And he hangs up, and he looks at us, and he's like, okay, he's about a half hour away. I'm going to go home. I'm going to grab my impact wrench and my grease gun and some other tools. Then I'm going to go to my buddy's house. Now, this is 11 o'clock Sunday night.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to my buddy's house. I'm going to take that hub off his trailer, and I'm going to bring it back here. We're going to get you going.
No shit.
We're like, what? We're like, all right, that's awesome. And off he goes. He's like, I'll be back in about an hour and a half. That was 11 o'clock.
Wow.
Off he goes, right? I call my wife, and I text my wife and say, we're having trailer trouble. I'll get back to you. I call my wife. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. She's like, what? I'm like, these guys just pull up off the road, and they're like, we have the part. We're going to go get it and bring it back. And she's like, are you sure they're coming back? Are you sure they're not going to rob you? I'm like, I don't know anything. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I can't believe that they're offering to help, let alone possibly could have had the parts on them, let alone, hey, we got the parts at my buddy's house. Like, what the fuck? So I'm looking around my guys going, if these guys bail us out, I got to give them like $500 a piece. And one of my guys goes, no, you got to give them like $1,500 because you know how much fucking money they saved you? Oh. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And they're all looking at me going, listen, you get in that truck and you take a nap because we're fucking getting home tonight. And I'm like, all right. So I get the truck like at 11:30, 12 o'clock, try to close my eyes. I get some money out and I count out a lot of cash for them so I can give it to them when they get back. And I kind of try to close my eyes, but I'm all anxious and worked up. So I barely got any rest, right? An hour and a half later, those fuckers pull back into the parking lot with it. You know, they pull back into the parking lot in the truck and they jump out and they're like, walk up to me and they're like, hey, you know, I got to my buddy's house and I measured your hub before we went. I got to his house, I pulled the hub off, and your hub was 12 inches by 2 1/4. His was 12 inches by 2 1/2. It's the wrong size hub. And we're like, oh, fuck.
Okay.
He goes, so I went home and I just changed the hubs on my trailer. So I pulled it. I knew it was the same size, so I pulled one of my hubs off.
Jesus. Yeah,
he gets the hub out of his truck.
He's committed.
He gets the hub out of his truck. He walks over and he fucking starts putting the hub on my trailer. And then he gets my old hub off. Every one of the fucking lug nuts is loose in it. He goes, hey, if you don't mind, when we get this done, would you mind if I took your hub and I could fix it and use it for my trailer? And I'm like, no, bro, that's fine. That's fine. You know, absolutely. You can have my hub. We'll trade. So he buttons it back up, puts the lug nuts back on, drops it down off the jack. His buddy immediately grabs the jack, walks around to the other side of the trailer, jacks that side up, takes those lug nuts off. I throw him the spare. We put the spare on there, put the fucking damaged tires into my trailer, shut the door, and we're all standing around looking at each other going, did that just happen? What the fuck just happened here?
Jesus Christ.
We dropped the trailer off the jack, and I look at the guy, I go, hey, and he had a 4-way lug wrench, right? And I didn't have the right socket for my breaker bar. I go, hey, I don't know if we're going to have any more trouble, but let me buy that 4-way lug wrench from you. He goes, bro, I got like 5 more at home. You can just have it. And I'm like, well, I appreciate that. So I reach my pocket and I pull out this wad of 20s that I counted up for him. I'm like, let me buy it from you. And I hand him this $1,500 in 20s. And he goes, no, man, I don't want any money. I go, what about for your time? For your hub, for your gas, for the use of your tools, for your doing this in the middle of the night? Like, can I give you money for something? He goes, you know, everyone finds themselves in a hard spot once in a while, and a little kindness goes a long way.
Jesus.
He patted me on the back. He said, good luck getting back to Michigan.
Get the fuck out of here.
We got in my truck, dropped it in drive, and I turned around and looked at all these guys. I'm like, did that just fucking happen?
Oh,
it's fucking 1 in the morning. We got derailed by 3 hours, but I tell you what, I rolled into my house at 7:30 in the morning. And we fucking made it. So I'm like, why didn't we get these guys' names or something, right? So they told us They told us that they met randomly on that exit. They don't even live near there. They met randomly on that exit because they were going to the Demolition Derby together. They're like a Demolition Derby team, and they randomly met at that exit. And then after the Derby, they happened by us, and they're like, hey, let's help those guys out. So I get home, and I'm like, fuck, I got to do something for these guys, right? I got to do something for them.
Yeah.
So I started looking at, like, Pennsylvania, like, Demolition Derby pages and shit like that. And finally, and I tell the story in the different Facebook groups. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for this guy. He's got a big red beard. He had this K&K Gutters shirt on. Help me find this guy. He deserves a king's ransom. Help me find this guy. Finally, somebody tags him, like 5 days later. Somebody tags him. I find him on Facebook. That's him. And I reach out to him. I'm like, bro, thank you so much. Let me give you some money. You're a Demolition Derby guy. Let me pay for some entries for you. Let me help you out. You saved me so much money. He goes, I don't want any money. He goes, I was just happy to help. He goes, you know what I will do for you, though? He goes, if you want to give me a graphic, I'll put the logo on my Demolition Derby car, and I'll do some advertising for you. I'm like, great. Let me pay you for the graphic. Let me give you $500 for doing that. He goes, no. Just pay for the graphic.
What? Holy shit.
And he's been like in contact with me ever since, sending me pictures of the graphic on his car and shit. Never asked me for a dime, and he won't take any money from me. Can you fucking believe that?
I have never heard about such benevolence. I have never. That is quite a thing. I'm kind of blown away by this.
I was blown away. I've told the story like 12 times now. But it's like we jumped in that truck after the event, heading west, and we're like, oh, man, what a crazy weekend. And then we weren't even to the craziness of it yet. And then when we got through that, we're like, I'm not a really religious person. But they were fucking angels, bro.
Well,
they were angels.
I
told one of my buddies a story. One of my buddies like, you're gonna finally find him and look him up, and he's gonna be like lived in the 1600s or something. He was dead for like 400 years.
Yeah, that's exact. He's a ghost. It was a goddamn ghost.
Right, and he like died in the Demolition Derby 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
What is Aram asks, what is his Demolition Derby team name?
I don't know the team name. The guy's name is Kenny Marsh. I don't know if they have a team name, but when they were conversing with one of my guys, when I was freaking out on the phone, they said that they were like a highly ranked Demolition Derby team. And I mean, the car they sent me is not real impressive. I mean, it's a Demolition Derby car, so it's all beat up and shit. But I mean, he slapped that fucking logo on the side of it, and he did some advertising for me.
My God.
What a fucking great guy. What a great guy.
That's the type of story that makes a person, if they're not living a good life, to live a good life.
So one of my guys goes, listen, I'm not religious, but this was karma. He goes, you must be doing some shit right, or we're doing some shit right, because our karma bucket was full. We should still be stuck there. You know what I mean? The best case scenario I could imagine is renting a U-Haul the next morning after spending an uncomfortable night in the truck for 10 hours or something, renting a U-Haul the next day, doing the work of taking all the bullshit out of the trailer and loading the U-Haul, sending the U-Haul home, and then figuring out how to get the trailer home. That was the best case scenario we could have thought of, before these fucking good old boys just pulled up and said, hey, you want us to help you out? Okay, so what are the chances that like 3 cars went by us during this whole time? 3 cars. What are the chances that one of those cars was willing to stop? What are the chances that one of those cars had the know-how to do it? And oh, by the way, had the fucking parts at home?
Right. And the willingness to do something so kind.
Yes.
I mean, most of us would have understood if everyone just kept right on driving.
Because that's what I do.
Yes.
I see somebody stranded on the highway. I'm like, oh, they got a cell phone. They're fine. You know what I mean?
Well, Kenny Marsh has created a whole group of people now who will have to live like Kenny. What would Kenny do?
Yeah, what would the other Kenny do? Now on my back, like, oh, let's help those guys out.
Yeah, well, hey, that now makes it 2 Kennys that are real salt of the earth people. We got our Kenny.
They're different people, yeah, but they're good people.
Yeah, we should have do like a study about people named Kenny.
I tell you what. My faith in humanity, I absolutely restored after that incident. I couldn't believe it. We told him several times, you know what, bro? Where we're from, nobody would have stopped. Nobody would have stopped and helped us.
Jesus, that's one for the ages, Rick. I'm glad you told me that story.
Isn't that a great story?
It's a great story.
Son of a bitch, man. I am so appreciative and so in debt to those guys. It would have made me feel so much better if they just would have took some money from me. You know what I mean? Just so I could feel like I did something. I just feel like I got this great act of kindness bestowed on me. I didn't really deserve it. You know what I mean? I don't think I deserved it.
What would you have said if you said, I don't want any money. I just want to suck your dick.
And then heard the banjo music playing. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Holy fuck. Wow, Rick, thank you so much for telling that. That's an epic tale. All that terrible shit happening to you, and then Kenny the helper comes out of the woodwork and does that. I love that.
Yeah, and like every time I hear or I repeat, a little kindness goes a long way. I get a little choked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, it wasn't a miracle. Nobody was going to die unless maybe the next person that stopped was going to rob us and shoot us or whatever. But they saved us a ton of time. They saved us a ton of money. And after a long weekend, we just wanted to get home. They got us home the same fucking night. Like, I mean, that might not be a miracle, but holy shit, did it feel like one that night.
Rick, good for you. I'm glad that it went down that way. I'm glad you're able to share the story.
It was awesome. His buddy's name is Jay Nugent, of all things. So Kenny Marsh and Jay Nugent, if your ears ever find this podcast, again, I am so thankful for you guys.
Well,
that was awesome.
I'll one-up you because Chris just found his Facebook page. I will take the audio and I'll put it on his Facebook page.
Okay.
And then he'll have it.
Hey, nobody fuck with him. I know what happened when people find out names and shit.
Yeah, I don't think
nobody
they will.
Fuck with him. This guy deserves. He's a one of a kind individual in today's world, and he really deserves a ton of appreciation and no bullshit.
No, I'm thinking that they'll kind of love on him. You know, that's the impression I'm getting.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it was awesome, man. I can't say it enough. It was absolutely awesome. If somebody would have told me that story, I'd say they're full of shit. Say that didn't happen, but I fucking witnessed it, bro. I witnessed it.
Dude, I appreciate you so much. I wish you the best. Good luck to everybody at TC Paintball, and I can't wait to see you again.
I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, buddy. That was spectacular. Now, for the next 2 minutes, I'm going to talk about every asshole in the chat attacking Rick over that story. I'm going to start with Maureen, who somehow thinks that she says, I'm telling a novel now for my final word on Ben and Eric this week. She's like saying that I allow Rick to tell long stories because he's a sponsor and not her. The difference is, Maureen, Rick told that well. It was interesting. It was an enjoyable story. If that were you, you'd be like, oh, my final word is I'm excited to go see Mocha. Mocha was a dog I fostered. And Mocha was adopted. And now I get to see Mocha. Mocha was the dog that we got from a home in Genesee County. And Mocha was tied outside by a rope. Well, all of a sudden we had Mocha in our possession, so Mocha came to my house. Mocha loves rubber toys, and then she loves to chew on them. So I love to give her scratches on her belly. And that's a Maureen story. You know, you can just feel the air getting... Rick, that story fucking moved. Everybody loved that story. Nobody gives a fuck. If Maureen is telling a story, it's the worst story you've ever heard. Story that could be... Maureen could fall out of an airplane and live. And then the story would be like... Well, wait, you know what? Hold that thought. I'm going to come back to that because I've got a meeting I have to attend to. But I'm going to kick her ass some more. I'm going to kick Chris Denham's ass. And I'm going to kick Amanda's ass for fucking up, trying to fuck up Rick's story, you assholes. So you can count on that when I get back from my staff meeting. So the rest of you who love that story, God bless you, and I'll kick their ass when I get done. All right, see ya. Bye-bye. All right, that is Act 1 of the podcast. Act 2 is available right after this one. Go check it out. What are you doing? Don't miss a second of it. Thank you so much.